The game is on the line right now.
And there's no wonder that nobody trusts them.
Throw a little vodka in there, it'd been a lot better.
Honestly, I'm just gonna smile.
I understand their tradition, I understand the helmet and the logo, but we got a logo too. There goes the cheetah! Tyreek Hill!
Where's that Sooner magic now, baby?
Hey, what's up, everyone? It is Keaton It Real here with the one and only infamous Tracin Wallace, man. It's been a ride. I've known you for a while. We're super excited to have you on.
Definitely, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I know that's your brother on. Y'all kind of two peas in a pod. Obviously identical twins. And for all my video listeners, I see you got the ink on there, man. Doesn't Tylen have the other arm inked up?
Yep, I got the right one. He's got the left. Yep.
All right. Did y'all flip a coin over that?
Man, it's crazy. Kinda. I mean, we kind of just went. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do my arm, and we didn't want to be exactly the same. So we're like, yeah. So I'll get the other arm, and it kind of worked out. Like I have my tattoo, so I got an R in my name, right? So
Yeah.
I got tattoos on my right arm, and he has an L in his name.
Oh my God, that's so
So he had tattoos on his left. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
how it worked out.
that makes complete sense, man. That makes complete sense. But yeah, it's been kind of a roller coaster. You kind of grew up like right down the street from me, over going to school at South Hills High School, and not a lot of people know your background, man. I know that you've been super open with me. I've known you for a couple of years now, and I know your story, and I'm also like a football junkie. But kind of explain to people, what's going on with it. So what, you started off as a quarterback over at South Hills?
Yeah, so going to high school, I played quarterback mostly my whole life growing up. So went to South Hills, started a quarterback as a freshman, played about basically.
Well, did I lose you there?
Look, Tylen called me right now. Tylen called me. Look, but yeah. So going to high school, played quarterback all my life. Went into South Hills. Started as a freshman.
Man, Tylen Wallace is blowing Tracin up right now.
He gonna keep blowing my phone up if I don't text him.
Yeah, no, I got 3 younger brothers, man. I totally get it. Yeah, tell him to chill out, man. He had his time on the ProbsCast.
Look, I'm on. Yeah, he just got out of meetings with camp.
Oh yeah, he's riding the Hellcat home, right?
Look, yep, he ain't lying.
But yeah, so you're a quarterback over at South Hills High School.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely amazing. But I posted your highlights before. Like I said, I've known you for years, and it was awesome kind of keeping up with you in that aspect. But you were the quarterback, and then Tylen was the receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, threw a lot of touchdowns to him. So just going into that, and that, but going in, played freshman year, played pretty decent. Sophomore year was killing it. And then going into my junior year, had a scrimmage. Then that was the first time I tore my ACL in a scrimmage preseason before the season started. So I had to miss my whole junior season. And then going into senior season, I was coming off that rehab, played 2 games and then got hurt again, I think in that 3rd game preseason, right before regular season started. So tore my ACL 2 times, junior and senior year in high school. But, kind of worked out because most of our offers came from my sophomore year, so me and Tylen had pretty much the same offers at that time. So, and then OSU was being, one of the first ones. And, I forgot to mention, we committed as sophomores as well. So, we kind of just, once we committed, we kind of stayed true through the whole process.
Marketing. Yeah. If I were you, well, what all these kids these days, you look at Quinn Ewers, he said, no, I'm not playing my senior year. You could have just pulled one of those, man. Just been like,
at that point,
I'm taking off to prepare for Oklahoma State, and I'm already committed, so it makes the most sense for me,
Hey, if I was getting that NIL deal, I would too. Shit.
Yeah, well, NIL so new. It was kind of weird seeing that it came out right after y'all forgone, because, you look at some of these athletes from the past, Mike Gundy, even back in the 80s, his deals would have been absolutely sweet.
Oh, it would have been insane, man.
So what was that like coming into Oklahoma State with, you had 2 ACL tears?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So what was that like coming in?
Yeah, so coming in, typically when you come in as a freshman anyway, most of the time you redshirt, which was I planned on doing anyway. That we talked about it with Coach Glass and everybody coming in. Pretty much knew I'm still going to rehab, at least take a year to redshirt, sit back in the court. At that time, I was in the quarterback room, so I was, at that time, Jelani Woods was a quarterback with me.
Yeah,
Taylor,
Jelani Woods.
Taylor Cornelius, Mason Rudolph, all those guys were all in the same room. And there's a funny picture. I have to find it and send it to you, but there's a picture of me standing next to those guys and remind you, Corn Dog 6'4".
Yeah.
And Jelani was 6'7", and Woodty was like 6'5", and I'm over here at like touching 6 foot, standing next to all these guys and look like I don't belong. But
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I forgot that Jelani was the quarterback because he wasn't, in my opinion, like he was a very underutilized tight end, especially with his size and stature. Like I have a photo next to him, Josh Sills, and then Logan Carter. And I'm 5'10", and that's with shoes on. And so I'm like, dude, we look at the AT&T bars. I was like, why'd y'all make me stand in this position? But I get it, man. They were absolute. They're tall dudes, and I've stood next to you and Thailand, and I can only imagine what that's like. But speaking of kind of off track, but like, what was the deal with Jelani Woods? Like, why didn't he what was the position change for him?
Man, I honestly couldn't tell you like exactly what it was. I feel like just everybody has their own, especially once the transfer portal became a thing, everybody just felt like they could take their own path, and obviously it worked out for them, but but everybody just felt like they could take their nowadays now, especially with NIL now, that doesn't help at all. But having the transfer portal with NIL, people just feel like they can venture out and do their own thing. So, no knock to anybody that does it, but it's just an opportunity that they see, they think that'll help them, and they think is better.
No, yeah, and I don't knock the transfer portal at all personally. Like especially like going to Oklahoma State and kind of being around you and all the other athletes. It gets a lot deeper than just an athlete on the field. So I understand it to an extent. Obviously, only whenever it benefits Oklahoma State. However, I understand the freedom and everything like that, but now that you're in this coaching role, I mean, like it's got to be like absolute hell not knowing what your roster is going to be like ever.
Yeah, it's definitely something you always got to think about, especially because it's, you never know, as everybody knows, you never know what's going to happen or who's going to jump in or, so, it doesn't make the job more relaxing if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something, it's hectic, so something I always watch.
Personally, I thought it was like, Gundy's kind of been known to like not want to play freshman quarterbacks. That's like always been kind of his shtick. I mean, you get it. You walked in as a quarterback, but like whenever I saw that change, and I was like, well, shouldn't Gundy be like super pro in like transfer portal? Because like now he never has to have another freshman quarterback. You just pick up one out of the transfer portal almost every year.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of ways to play with it. There's obviously a bunch of different combinations of things you can do. You could take a younger guy that's probably played a year and then take a more, like you said, take an older guy that's played a lot and then have him every year. But I mean, obviously there's all kinds of different ways you can piece it together and put it.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, like I'm not probing for Gundy questions or anything like that. I just was always a thought in my head where I was like, this should be like paradise, especially with like we got friend of the podcast, Alan Bowman's been on. That dude, he sounds like a quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you told me before I had talked to him, you're like, he's a really cool guy. And I was like, man, I hope so. Because, I love supporting the DFW kids. Obviously, we're from the same area. And, man, I did a lot of research on him. And it's about time we get a redheaded quarterback in there.
Look, yeah, man. Yeah, he's a good dude, man, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, he's a super interesting guy. But ultimately, when it comes to, like, the time – so, what, you've been doing coaching for 2 years now or 3 years?
So, student assistant since 2019. So, that's, 3 or 4? And then I just became GA, like, as of this year. So, the beginning of this year.
So, you're working on your master's.
Yeah. And I should be done with that here coming up in August. So.
Okay. And then what are you planning on continuing coaching?
Yeah. Just keep on, since I just stepped into this GA role, just keep rolling with it and, keep going.
There we go. Sorry, I got an audio problem there for a second. Yeah, they no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and obviously, I can't harp on it enough. With having the connection between like me, Emma, you, and Tyler, it was always like one of our favorite bets to take whenever you would be on the sidelines, and we'd bet on what color visor you have every game.
Yeah, yep. Just have some kind of different color out there, No, that's funny.
Well, yeah, anything to get their attention. That way they can see you on the sidelines, right?
That's how you do it.
Okay, so here's a really good question: is like, how do you go from like not saying that you were ever this guy, but how do you go from like going out to the strip, hanging out with the football team, to next day you're in charge of running drills? Like, how do you manage like finding that respect between them?
Definitely had to, and then especially because my brother was obviously I roomed my brother. We played together forever, so obviously like I was in that role for a while, and then it kind of actually helped me. Coach Dunn was like one of the ones, if I'm going to take on that, if I really wanted to coach and take that career path, there's a certain point where you got to separate yourself, and there's certain times when like you can probably hang out with some friends, but there's a certain line you got to draw somewhere, to separate it if you really want respect from the guys. So I kind of took that a while back when I first started being a student assistant. I kind of took that in, and I kind of had to slowly but not surely separate myself. Kind of certain things I can and can't do with the guys. And it kind of just kind of glad I caught that early because it helps me develop and understand even more now that I'm still going into it.
No, that makes complete sense. Yeah, I've always wondered what that was going to be like because, Stillwater's really small. Like it's easy to get eyes on you, and word travels fast in a small town, and there's not a whole lot of things to do. So it's easy to run into each other at the same places. But I think that's what also kind of makes it so great is like the times that I was going out and I got to meet certain people just because I ran into them like that. And people ask me all the time how I bring so many great guests like yourself on this podcast. And I'm like, man, I was always on the strip. There's never a night where I wasn't able to meet someone,
Definitely had a couple times. Yeah.
Okay. So with everything, so like, I know that you said you have to draw the line and there's, a level of who you are versus who they are now and things like that. Do you think that like the players feel like a little bit more confident talking to you before they make a decision?
Probably, just, and that's one thing I try to, make sure they know, and I'm sure they do know, is that, I've been in their shoes. I've been through the same things they've been through. I've been there, and I'm pretty close to the same age as some of those guys, if not a couple years older. So, and I try to relate to those guys as well. So that's one thing I try to let them know is like they can come. If you got any question about anything, there's not really anything you can't come talk to me about.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I think that it's college football. You hear rumors from everywhere. I've heard a million different things, and unless I hear it from that human being, I don't necessarily believe it. There are a lot of rumors. Let's say like Spencer Sanders, for example, friend of the podcast, friend of mine, man. It's a great guy. I heard a lot of rumors swirling about him, and I was like, I'll just give him a call because everything that goes on like that. But with the transfer portal, NIL, and like obviously you're a little bit younger. Do you ever like feel a little bit like for example, whenever I'm with Post with the Purpose with NIL, I get direct from the source. I don't have to wonder anymore. I don't have to see stuff flying on Twitter. But do you ever feel a little bit more confident having that type of knowledge? For
sure, definitely. And that's what's nice about just being around in the game so long. Just being around what I've been doing and being around it forever. I'm in meetings. I hear everything. I know stuff. So, it kind of gives you that, like you said, it gives you that confidence. It gives you like, more fortitude, more like, more like, they can believe in me and I can have confidence in what I'm telling them as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I know that was like a long-winded question. I almost lost it halfway through there. But now give us a little bit of intel, man. You got any players you think that are going to like do anything that like maybe a guy that we're not thinking of? Because like, yeah, of course we love Ollie Gordon and we think he's going to be awesome, even as a second slot back or whatever. But is there anyone that we're missing right now that in practice just wowing you?
Man, the only thing we've had so far is really like summer. So, we don't really know for sure yet. But, I know we got a good group of guys this year, as a whole. I feel like the teams really come together as one, a little different than what it has been the past few years for whatever reason. But this year just feels like the guys are really together as a team, not just offense, defense, like all the way together. So,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
gonna be exciting.
some great chemistry. It felt different than whenever I was hanging around everyone in 2021 before the season began, as opposed to years in the future or in the
Right.
past. And
Yeah.
man, that chemistry can mean the world.
For sure. Yeah, it's important, man. So
Yeah. So I mean that's just wild that you found a lot of success between your way moving up, but I mean Gundy kind of found himself in that same role. Is your dream one day to make it to the NFL and coach a brother, or is your dream to stay in college football and figure out a way to find a head coaching job somewhere?
that would be nice, man. Be coaching Tylen around, telling them what to do. So, but yeah, I think that's the ultimate goal. Kind of just get it where you can. Try to get up to that next level. Soak up what you can, all the knowledge, learn as much as you can, and then But I think that's the ultimate goal, probably to get to the NFL eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of people find their way to that, and obviously you got a haircut, man. You're looking fresh, and you look a little bit more serious than the last time I saw you. But yeah, no, it's a huge translation. Going even from high school ball, where you said you were starting as a freshman, and then you make it all the way to Oklahoma State. I mean, it's pretty killer. But did y'all have any offers from anywhere else that you were considering?
Yeah, I think Tulsa was our very first offer. That was like our very first one, and they were recruiting us hard. We if it would have been there or SMU too as well. I mean, we had offers from Vanderbilt, like I said, Tulsa. I think we had together we had a total of 13 total together.
Damn.
But but then obviously when Tylen was playing, he blew up and got a couple more. But yeah, I think it would have been out of either Tulsa or SMU, because SMU was recruiting us really hard too.
Now, would they just recruit y'all as a duo, or were you getting recruited a little bit better back then?
Probably not as a duo. Yeah, for sure. Because they knew that was our main thing, just to play together. So, and that's I think that's where some schools are like, I don't know. With me getting hurt so early, some of them drew the line like, well, we don't really want to offer this guy, but those schools knew at first that was our plan all along, to play together.
Yeah, and Oklahoma State has a pretty good deal bringing in brothers. I mean, you look at Caleb and Keelan Boone. You got Braylon left, but you had Braylon and Brendan Presley. I mean, the list goes on of brothers that come in. So I get fired up personally, because I'm like, dude, this is going to be an awesome dynamic duo. And like we said, the chemistry is already there, so it's not like you're having to go and fight for anything. But no, that makes a lot of sense, and it's awesome that you have those offers and everything like that. But ultimately, what made y'all decide to go to Oklahoma State?
Just the people, I mean, just coming here, taking our visits, the people, the culture, it's really family based, and that's kind of what we've grown up and we were always about. So, just coming here, coming to the couple games and coming to see it, and then Gundy, Dunn, all those guys, all the coaches recruiting us, we kind of just knew this was the right place for us.
Yeah, no, I've heard that Dunn's a hell of a recruiter, because people give him a lot of backlash online. I've been susceptible to that, and ultimately I think he's a great wide receivers coach. I mean, Oklahoma State has a tradition of bringing in badass wide receivers, but yeah, the culture and everything like that, I think is kind of what drives in these athletes. How much of your hand is like in the recruiting pool?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I'm right there now, especially now that I'm GA. But I've always been there. Any receiver that takes a visit, I'm right there. It's any visit, any official visit. So I'm pretty much I'm around in there. So
okay, so let's say you got some receiver, right? We're gonna role play. Are you ready? You got some receiver, right? Some 17, 18-year-old kid. Let's say a four-star stud out of like Allen, Texas. What's your pitch towards him to come bring him to Stillwater, Oklahoma?
I mean, the main thing is just keeping obviously we're telling them what it is. That's one thing we like to do here. Just we're keeping it real. Like you see what you're gonna get. We're gonna coach you. There's gonna be hard times, but that you're probably not gonna like some of us. But we're gonna coach you. We got the tool to get you to the next level. And this is obviously a family-based thing. Like everybody knows, there's not tons to do in Stillwater, but that's what is a great thing about it too as well. It gives you football to just focus on football, and there aren't very many distractions, to get caught off with, So that's one main thing. I think just being able to bond with your teammates and just, as you, like I said, there's not much to do in Stillwater, but that also lets you focus and bond with your teammates and focus on your craft throughout the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can take them down a little Hall of Fame walk and, show off Barry Sanders Heisman or show off all the Bolitnikoff Award winners we have and everything like that. Obviously, that we're coming up on a wild season because last year Texas no you were here. Somehow Texas avoided the bullet of like playing Oklahoma State because we've been whipping their ass for a long time. But I mean, when it comes to this upcoming season, like ultimately, do you feel like we have everything in place to make a Big 12 championship run?
I think so, man. We got parts. We got some new things in there now. Obviously with the new with Nardo, the new coordinator. With the new defense. And, and we got some, we lost some parts and we got some parts out of the portal to replace them. So, I feel like we got a pretty solid team and, we got a pretty good chance.
I mean, everyone kept talking about how much we lost in the portal, but ultimately, and I'm not knocking any of the guys that left or anything like that, but like, okay, we retained Kendall Daniels, Colin Oliver. I mean, there's a lot of guys in the squad that people are kind of overlooking, in my opinion. And I would have been fine, with Garrett Rangel or Gunnar Gundy. I think Gunnar Gundy's a badass, and I think some history could be written in the last Bedlam game for you to get some time in there. But ultimately, I think that the team that we have together and the way we trust in Mike, we're top 10 in wins since 2010. This should be a pretty walk in the park. But we got a lot of new components here. We get to go to a lot of different places. We're not going to your home state in Texas. A whole lot. We're going to Houston once, but that's about it. But walking into the end of the season, I mean, we got the last Bedlam, and you've been around for quite a while now, and you know what that environment's like. And we got some new cats on the squad. Are they aware of the fact that we don't like them?
Oh yeah. They're pretty. Yeah, they may pretty much know that when they come on their visits, and they find out pretty quick. So yeah, and if not, they'll get a pretty fast awakening once that game comes around. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you pop off on Twitter at any point and see, they call me like they live rent free in my head and all this stuff. I'm like, it's a rival. I don't. There's nothing else to talk about right now. So clearly, I'm going to beat this beehive. But no, that makes a lot of sense, man. And Alan Bowen had me fired up walking into the Bedlam game. And, I'm a season ticket holder finally, and I'm amped up to get up there and hang out and definitely go watch some great Oklahoma State football.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
Really well. Hey man, I really appreciate you coming on. I think those are all the questions I had. Other than that, man, like I said, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely. Well, Tracin Wallace, everyone, be sure to follow the ProbsCast on Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, you name it. I'm probably on there, or at OK State Probs on Twitter. Absolutely. Y'all have a good one.
The game is on the line right now.
And there's no wonder that nobody trusts them.
Throw a little vodka in there, it'd been a lot better.
But honestly, I'm just gonna smile.
I understand their tradition. I understand the helmet and the logo, but we got a logo too.